Welcome to Spooky News from Spooky Ventures for September 24th, 2021. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, autumn is finally here. If you're a spooky season devotee as I am, this is the time of year we look forward to all the rest of the time. Now, I've got some good news items lined up for you, but before we get to that, there are a couple things I want to remind you about. First, if you want more information about any of these stories, keep watching after I'm done talking. I have a list of the source sites for the articles and other important information. Secondly, Spooky Ventures is supposed to be interactive. That's especially true of our YouTube channel. Be sure to like our videos, share our videos, comment, and especially subscribe to our channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's turn our attention to the news. The first story for this week is a music story. It's focused on a band I like quite a bit, Cradle of Filth. The band have a new song out titled Necromantic Fantasies and a spooky video to go with it. The tune will be part of their next album, Existence is Futile, which is set for release on October 22nd. Looking next to the world of books, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein has made the news. In a story that makes me think of the biggest book collector of all my friends and colleagues, Heath Albert's, the first edition of Shelley's Frankenstein, which one could consider both a science fiction and horror novel as far as I'm concerned, sold at auction for $1.17 million. That's a new record for a book by a female writer. I bet my good friend would love to have that one in his collection. Maybe next time, bro. From books, we head to television, and the first story is all about the new TV series adaptation of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Since it's based on a book, that makes it a great transition, too. The 8-episode series is set to debut on October 15th on Amazon Prime Video. The first trailer for the show has been released. Netflix has a new spooky kids movie called Nightbooks. It's based on a book by J.A. White, whose website describes it as a modern spin on the Scheherazade story. The show is apparently spooky but appropriate for most kids. If you enjoy Eli Roth's history of horror, you're in for luck, because Season 3 will be starting tomorrow, the 25th of September. There's a new trailer on YouTube to check out, too. Speaking of Roth, he's teaming up with Zach Bagans for a new series. Bagans has a museum that collects artifacts that are supposedly cursed or possessed or generally have a dark history. Each episode of the series will be a scripted show focused on one of the items in the museum. The show will premiere on October 2nd on Discovery Plus under the title The Haunted Museum. Turning to movies, have you ever wondered what the scariest movie is? A cable provider in the UK recently did a study to try to answer that question. They hooked up 50 people to heart monitors while they watched 120 hours of horror movies. According to their study, the scariest film in the study is the 2012 film Sinister. Personally, I think you need a larger sample size for more accurate results, particularly because it is such an individualized thing, but it is interesting nonetheless. Netflix has a new young adult horror film debuting on October 6th. The movie is titled There's Someone Inside Your House, and it's based on the YA novel of the same title by Stephanie Perkins. You have to wait a little longer to see the film, but the trailer is available now. Speaking of new trailers for horror films, Paranormal Activity Next of Kin is coming out as a streaming release on October 29th, but you can see a new teaser trailer now. This movie is being described as a reboot of the series rather than a sequel. That brings us to the end of this edition of Spooky News. I'll be doing one of these per week through the end of October, or at least that's the plan at this point. So be sure to tune in again next Friday. In the meantime, check out all things spooky at spookyventures.com. Be sure to have a look at our Cafe Press store for spooky merch, including, too, It's Always Halloween Somewhere designs, at cafepress.com/spookyventures. Be sure to check this channel tomorrow, as we'll have a brand new spooky feature, which is yours truly talking in depth about the latest 2 books released by Tales of Wonder and Dread Publishing. Finally, if you want to look into my books and more, go to GaryHillAuthor.com. And the most important reminder, remember to always keep it spooky. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.